Thanks for joining us for CBN News Today. I'm Lori Johnson.
And I'm Ephraim Graham. Monday brings miserable news to people in the Northeast with yet another snowstorm hitting the area. The National Weather Service has issued winter storm warnings for central New York, the western Catskills, and much of New England through early Tuesday. Another round of winter weather has Boston at a breaking point. The city could see another 18 inches of snow, and the mayor has already busted the budget, spending $18 million to remove what's fallen this year.
We're running out of space where to put all the snow that we have in the city of Boston.
Boston schools are closed until Wednesday, and court closings Monday mean another delay in jury selection in the Boston Marathon bombing trial. On top of that, Boston's Logan International Airport is only allowing a limited number of flights to arrive and depart.
We've never seen this type of snow here in the city of Boston at any other time in the history of our city.
In areas of New York, the last thing people want is yet another coating of snow and ice to start the work week, or in many cases, bring that week to a freezing halt.
I haven't had to have my Monday class this is the third week in a row now, so it's getting bad.
Winter is getting very old very fast, and this latest snowstorm comes as a new article in the London Telegraph newspaper reports. Official temperature records have been manipulated to make it look like the Earth was warming much more than it really was. The author says global warming may be one of the greatest scientific scandals of all time. Still, the debate over whether global warming is real is far removed from the people in the Northeast. Like New Hampshire's Carl Stevens, who's gotten some pretty good use of his snowblower this winter, now digging himself out of more and more snow in the midst of freezing temperatures.
It's one of those times that I bought something and it actually paid off.
Some New Hampshire cities have also declared parking bans to keep the roads clear as plows push another round of snow off the roads.
Today, Alabama is set to become the 37th state to legalize gay marriage, but the state's chief justice is ordering probate judges to refuse marriage licenses to gay couples. Last week, Chief Justice Roy Moore advised probate judges that the federal ruling overturning the state's gay marriage ban is non-binding and can be ignored. Sunday night, he officially banned state probate judges from performing same-sex weddings. Many gay couples are still hoping to obtain marriage licenses today.
A New Jersey high schooler won her case to keep the phrase "under God" in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Samantha Jones says she was outraged when an atheist group, the American Humanist Association, demanded the phrase be taken out when the pledge was recited at her New Jersey high school. She took the case to state court where the judge dismissed the case. Jones was represented by Eric Rosbach with the Beckett Fund for Religious Liberty. He said the Pledge of Allegiance isn't a prayer and reciting it doesn't magically create an official state religion. He went on to say dissenters have every right to sit out the pledge, but they can't silence everyone else. This is the second time a state court has stopped the American Humanist Association from outlawing the pledge. The first time was in Massachusetts. The U.S. strategy in the war on terror is not working. That assessment comes from a top former Army general named Michael Flynn on Fox News Sunday. He says the Obama administration has failed to create a comprehensive strategy and has failed to define our enemy.
We are facing a form of a cancerous component of the Islamic religion, which has a fanaticism to it that has everything which is against our way of life, and they in fact have declared war on us. And I think that we have to recognize that. You can't defeat an enemy that you don't admit exists.
General Flynn says the proliferation of Islamic terrorism to new regions across Africa and the Middle East is proof that the U.S. has not been successful. He says the Obama administration needs to move beyond a strategy that focuses only on limited airstrikes on ISIS.
We're kind of like a football team with the quarterback at the huddle, and the quarterback says, "Ready, break." Everybody's supposed to step to the line, and the team's supposed to move down the field together in a synchronized way, to the goal line to win. I feel like when we say "ready, break," all the players that are on the team, they're going off into different stadiums playing different sports.
He explained that's partly because there's no central leader of the U.S. effort.
As Islamic terrorism expands around the globe, moderate Middle Eastern countries are in the crosshairs. That's why Jordan has been pounding ISIS targets from the air in recent days, and there's speculation of a possible ground campaign. As Chris Mitchell reports from Amman, it is part of their renewed campaign after the murder of a Jordanian pilot.
Jordan launched more than 50 airstrikes against the Islamic State. A top Jordanian Air Force general says the air campaign has three main goals.
Targeting top leadership with al-Baghdadi at the helm. The second target was the illegal revenues of the group, which they have been getting from fuel. The third target was to weakening and destroying the training centers and logistical centers.
This picture reflects a resolute nation in the wake of the horrific murder of the Jordanian pilot by ISIS. This is a nation at war.
We are determined to fight ISIS until we achieve the goal of this war, which is wiping out the Islamic State completely.
He added this is the beginning, not the end of the campaign to defeat ISIS. And some speculate Jordan is planning a limited ground campaign. Prince Charles visited King Abdullah at the start of a 6-day Mideast tour. The prince told the BBC that the plight of Middle East Christians was an agonizing situation. King Abdullah faces a daunting challenge. He needs to mobilize and maintain his country's fight against ISIS while realizing that a significant minority of his citizens sympathize with the Islamic State. He'll be looking for military and moral support from the U.S. and other coalition partners as he fights for the future of his kingdom. Chris Mitchell, CBN News, reporting from Amman, Jordan.
The parents of a woman kidnapped by ISIS are asking the world to pray for their daughter's safe return. Kayla Mueller has been held hostage by the extremists for more than a year. Friday, ISIS claimed that the 26-year-old woman was killed in a Jordanian airstrike, but the Jordanian government has dismissed the claim as propaganda.
Christian and Messianic Jewish believers are concerned about the growing hatred of Jews around the world, so leaders came together at a summit in Colorado with a plan to fight anti-Semitism by standing on Scripture and with the nation of Israel. John Wagi brings us the story.
As conditions get worse globally for Jews and Christians, the message from the Israel Summit is clear. It's time for those who believe the Bible to stand with Israel.
Here at Resurrection Fellowship, hundreds of Christian and Jewish believers are on hand to witness the launch of a global effort called FIRM, the Fellowship of Israel-Related Ministries.
Jerusalem pastor Wayne Hilsden founded FIRM to be a bulwark against hatred and to bless the world by supporting Israel and the Jewish people. He says it will come with a cost.
Certainly among many in the Islamic world, we, the Sunday people, are viewed as just as bad as the Saturday people. And there may come a day soon when our lives will be at risk because of our commitment to love and bless the Jewish people.
Rabbi Jonathan Bernis says the hatred of Jews is an outgrowth of a fierce spiritual clash between God and Satan.
Folks, we are in a battle. We are facing a very real enemy who is wounded and truly believes that he can stop God's plan from being fulfilled. What's our job? Fulfill the plan.
Anti-Semitism is at its strongest on many college campuses, so the summit is paying special attention to young people. 22-year-old Michael Mistretta has a key role in reaching them with a message that's more spiritual than political.
As a young person, when I think about God, how He forgives me, how He shows me mercy, how much more will He do the same to Israel? How much more will His love endure forever?
The Stand with Israel movement is worldwide, and the people who came to Colorado are from at least a dozen countries and many U.S. states.
Gathering together with others that have the same heart and same mind to see God's purposes fulfilled, to see Israel supported, to see the Jewish people come back to their own Messiah.
Beth Shear says the summit changed her perspective.
Knowing that times are going to be coming where they're not even really going to like us for what we stand for, but that we still need to stand for them and know that our God is for them.
Rabbi Bernis believes that the uniting of Jewish and Gentile leadership can solve many serious problems.
Like the rise of anti-Semitism, the growth of replacement theology, anti-Israel attitudes. We need to deal with this together, and we need to do it now.
John Wagi, CBN News, Loveland, Colorado.
Nigeria is postponing its presidential election. The move comes as violence caused by radical Islamic militant groups like Boko Haram continues to sweep the nation. The election was set to happen February 14th, but Nigeria's Electoral Commission says they will be pushed back to March 28th because voter safety cannot be guaranteed. In the past 10 days, an offensive from Chad and Nigeria has forced Boko Haram from a dozen towns and villages, and more military strikes are planned.
The White House has finally released the names of the Muslim advocates President Obama met with at the White House last week. For several days, they refused to tell journalists who attended the closed-door meeting. Among the attendees, the current and former heads of the Islamic Society of North America. As CBN News has reported, critics say ISNA is a front for the radical Muslim Brotherhood. The Detroit Free Press reports the Muslims were told not to talk to the media about what the president said, but some said they were pleased with his support after a supposed rise in anti-Muslim bigotry since the jihadist terrorism in Paris. Among other requests, the leaders asked the president to nominate a Muslim as a federal judge.
Coming up, Forbes magazine calls her a social entrepreneur, but those who know her best call her something else. Hear how one 20-something is helping the homeless in more ways than one. Veronica Scott of Detroit was trying to help the homeless in her city.
She was handing out special coats to help them through the winter. But then one woman gave her a shocking message.
Well, she told her that the homeless needed far more than just coats. Charlene Aaron tells us what Veronica did next.
Winters in Detroit can be harsh, and with record-breaking snow, 2014 became one of the worst in years. But the often snowy and brutal conditions here in Detroit are especially hard for the city's homeless population. But one organization is meeting the need, one life at a time. Some 20,000 are homeless, and many must sleep on the street. That's because shelters are often too overwhelmed and under-supported to give them a place to stay.
Everybody has a different skill level.
25-year-old Veronica Scott hopes to make a difference by providing coats that transform into sleeping bags. The idea started as a class project. Her assignment, make something that people really need.
The coat initially was meant to be a mobile sort of opportunity that you can hopefully offer you some comfort, and you can control where you're going, what you're doing. And then at the same time, it didn't look used. It wasn't worn by probably 10 or 15 people before you. It was made specifically new for that person.
After finally coming up with the right design, she took the coats to those who need it the most, earning her a nickname among the homeless.
I was trying to make this into another semester's project and decided, you know what? A lot of people on the street want these. I was getting strangers coming up to me that have been in the streets for 10, 20 years. They're like, yo, coat lady, or coat lady, or like crazy coat girl. I have a couple street names. I'm very proud of them to this day.
Then at a local shelter, she discovered the jackets were just a Band-Aid for a deeper problem.
I was really proud, and as I was leaving, a woman was like, tried to stop me and was full on screaming at me and had to be physically restrained. She was so mad. And I was like, oh, like why? What happened? And I walked up to her, introduced myself, and she said, what you're doing is pointless. We don't need coats. We need jobs.
That prompted her to take her service to a higher level. In 2011, she started the Empowerment Plan, a nonprofit that hires previously homeless women to make the sleeping bag coats.
We let the shelter know that we're going to be going in and hiring, and we get 40, 50 people that show up. But I think we're evaluating people not for what's written on paper, but for the potential that could be there.
Scott admits her idea came with a challenge because none of the women knew how to sew.
I never thought that I would be able to handle a heavy-duty machine like this one. I love it.
It's really like a 3-month-long intensive teaching process. A month where you're just being paid to learn how to sit in front of a sewing machine. They're very intimidating. It is like a car motor attached to a needle. It is kind of scary in the beginning, and work from paper all the way up into fabric and then slowly work your way onto the floor. And we've never had anybody from age 18 to 61 not make it through that training process.
In 2014, the Empowerment Plan distributed 4,500 coats Now, with 20 full-time seamstresses, this year's goal is 6,500. Scott's tireless work has even earned her a spot on Forbes' 30 Under 30 social entrepreneurs list. But she's quick to point out it's a team effort.
I did a part of it, and it was really them that picked up all the other pieces. I'm really lucky to have such an amazing team.
Employees say they are grateful for a second chance and a place to call home.
This opportunity came at, it was like the right time, the perfect time, which has helped me tremendously because now I just closed on my house about a week ago. Now that I've been here for 2 years, next month, I feel way more independent. I feel like my mentality has changed a lot, and I feel myself being elevated every day.
When Merle Bryant lost her job in 2009, she spent many nights sleeping in her car before becoming part of the empowerment plan. She now feels blessed to help others struggling to make it.
I see people wearing them now all the time. I tell them I made that coat, and they just so happy. Even on the bus, I will see people wearing them. When I make this coat, I think about the people less fortunate than me and to put a smile on their face.
Star Lloyd says this opportunity has given her life purpose.
I really was on the verge of giving up and didn't really care anymore. But working here makes me want to get up and do something with myself, put some clothes on. It's a motivational thing for me.
The empowerment plan is also meeting needs outside of Detroit by working with other organizations, all because Veronica Scott saw a need and acted to meet it.
It's surreal sometimes to look back on it and be like, this is all just my class project from years ago. It's just weird to think about. I definitely think I'm like the luckiest person in the world. I'm like, how did that happen?
Charlene Aaron, CBN News, Detroit, Michigan.
Amazing. You can find out more about the empowerment plan by going to cbnnews.com.
And more good news on the way. An organization in the Philippines is using education and prayer to help children escape poverty. Up next, we'll show you how. There is a dump outside Manila that's home to thousands of children. Along with their parents, they work and live there, barely scraping out an existence.
But one Christian organization is helping some to escape through education and prayer. Our David Mims tells us more.
It's a little after 4 a.m. Philippine Standard Time. The first garbage truck arrives at the huge Peyote dump site located in Greater Manila. There will be more, almost 500 before the day is over. Next come the small army of human scavengers, looking for anything they can recycle, to earn, if lucky, about 89 Philippine pesos a day, or $2. They face harsh weather, stray animals, disease, flies, toxic substances, and foul odors. One observer described the smell as leaving your garbage out in the sun for a week and sticking your head inside the bag.
Children as young as 3 years of age needed to look for pieces of plastic and metal to sell in the recycling industry. And families are living in makeshift shanties made out of second-hand pieces of wood. There's no running water, no sanitation, and often not even a safe electrical connection. Children quickly learn at a young age that life here is all about survival. Little point really of dreaming of a different life.
But some do with the help of Christian organizations like PCF, the Philippine Community Fund. Its first school, about 10 minutes from the dump, was a dirty, derelict warehouse. Then in 2010, a new school was built out of recycled shipping containers. It now has an enrollment of 800 students.
PCF educates children for 7 hours a day, feeds breakfast and lunch. They earn food rewards for academic achievements and school attendance. And this is sufficient reason to keep them off the dump site and keep them in school.
PCF takes a holistic approach, catering to both the physical and the spiritual needs of the children. Education programs have strong emphasis on values, emotional and physical development.
Our goals are enrollment to employment, and we're just getting the first batch of students from college and university, and they're gaining jobs, and this is enabling them to break the cycle of poverty, not just for themselves, but for their families as well.
Jessa used to be a waste picker, but when she was 7, she enrolled in PCF school. She started ballet as an after-school activity, and in just 5 years, she's performing with the most prestigious ballet company in Manila.
If I'm not in PCF, I will be working in the dance site with my family.
Daily food shortages are common for the families living at the dump, and for most, education is not an option. Even children who attend PCF feel the need to contribute toward the family's income, and thus working after school on the garbage mountain is not uncommon.
PCF recognizes this vulnerability and provides weekly food parcels for the children based on their attendance. We also have extracurricular classes to help the children develop their interests and also keep them away from the dump sites where they may be forced to work.
One engineer said it would take 3,000 trucks a day, 11 years just to move all the garbage that's already here. And new garbage arrives in an estimated 1,200 tons a day. So there will always be a peyote dump site, and there will always be children to work it. But one by one, through efforts of the PCF school and other Christian groups, children like Jessa are finding their way out. I'm David Mims, CBN News.
God bless her and God bless that organization.
I had no idea people lived like that.
So sad. Horrible to see.
Yeah, it's
horrible.
Wonderful that people are helping them out.
Indeed, indeed. Stay with us. We're coming right back.
Finally today, Operation Blessing is helping a family in Peru bring food to the table.
Mama Rose is raising her 2 grandchildren, Alex and Camilla. For years, she washed clothes by hand for income to sustain them. But that was simply not enough. So Operation Blessing teams built her family a new sturdy house with a small storefront stocked with supplies where she can sell everyday staples. She even received training from Operation Blessing on running a small business, bookkeeping, and more. And you can find out more about Operation Blessing by going to its website. It is ob.org, making a difference around the world every day.
Well, that's it for now on CBN News Today. You can find more of our exclusive coverage of the issues you care most about at cbnnews.com.
You want to hear what you think about the stories you've seen here today? You can do it on Facebook or at CBN News on Twitter. Make it a marvelous Monday, everybody.